I know you want to ask me about, but I really do think they should have given Vinicius Junior the award, and it's just so sad. But anyhow, that's what they call politics, and politics is everywhere, even in sports. A very good morning to my viewers all across the world. Welcome to your Poetic Interlude on the Weekend Show. My name is Emeka Ozurumba, and today I'm going to be reading you from this lovely book, The Caveat Emptor, a piece titled A Note to Nurse Nursling. You have to make him stay confined and seem paranormal. Some inspectors brought him over and said he should be made to go insane. And I asked them how that was possible. And it seemed more to them of disparaging despair than actual ignominy of cognizance. The inspectors identified themselves as Inspector Bruno and Inspector Ali. They talked about his recent deeds of leading protests against the current regime. And the government were the recipient of such menace. And he who takes might of views against the government, be it a good one or a traumatic and sad one, there is too soon to become an aloof bipolarity in the enigma of multiplicity of persons disorder. But that was another time around. From my comprehensive study, he seemed to be on the side of, I know my right from wrong. Yet instead, one bargains to a heavy ordeal, repulsing the reins of tyrants to their face. Feudalists always like their supremacy, and this is not uncommon. One fighting for the rights and development of his people always seems as an enemy to the government, who terms them as constituting social nuisance. And from there on, they can say, we force you to lose your sanity. This is a misapproval of trust or peace, but it's there in every gathering of those that term themselves government. That word is so monopolistic that, again, when things fall out of place, no one seems to be linked to that term, government. They themselves will now say, we're ordinary citizens, but we are unequal citizens to their demands of greed and misgovernance. The prisoner, or should I say patient, because it seems more of a prisoner than a patient, and for the sake of formality, I had to do a routine check on his sanity. When I looked at his body, he looked battered, as though he had been tortured for many days, and he seemed asleep, but soon I engrossed him with some fluids, syringe-wise, and slowly his eyelids began to open, but it was bloodshot. His look seemed as the exhaustive one of a wild beast, and he asked, where am I? And I answered, the Katangara Asylum. And he heaved a heavy sigh, and then I observed that he had no form of mental incapacitation. And so I asked him, what brought you here? He must have almost giggled, but his face had no strength for such amusement, and weakly he answered, I serve as a civil servant worker, and I've been in the ministry for 18 years. And need I speak of the debacle of the society, or the tributary of terrorism where I con, still I dispatch my duties without the thoughts of their intruding vicious barbarism, because they say the Constitution does not spell it in clear terms, as clear as thou shalt not be corrupt, that sort of thing. But I agree now to this their bargain, because I find that the truth is the adversity to all of humanity. The chairman of the organization had just embezzled the sum of 20 billion that was to be used to pay government workers. And I blew the whistle, the supposed puritanical whistle, unknowing that the whistle was unjust, only for the chairman to bribe the chief justices involved in the case with 3 billion. And then I became the culprit. I was taken to a place for discreet torturing. And instead of convicting the criminal, they have turned the tables now and brought me to this asylum, claiming that I have too much evidence to incriminate the chairman. All this perchanced my eye upon this social apathy. Immediately, after those words, he soon fell asleep, and I knew the brief stimulant I gave him for regeneration was exhausted. Then he was carried off to Ward 368, where he currently is. This is the state of the panorama aforementioned, and it's not in our profession as doctors to oppose such neophyte barbarism if a government can condone such. My lovely audience all across the world, this was just a comedic fictional piece about someone taken to an asylum and told to go insane because he was not going according to the appropriations of the government and their corrupt ensembles. My viewers all across the world, I hope you've enjoyed watching your Poetic Interlude on The Weekend Show. You can stay tuned because we have more coming up for you on The Weekend Show.